Bible's not going to fit on here, so I'm going to hold it in my hands. Just a second. Hi, guys.
Hi.
My name's Emmaline.
Just started.
I told you, and I go to Pastoral High School.
Yeah!
And I go to First Baptist Church. Okay, so when my youth pastor asked me to talk, he suggested talking about Bible significance.
Quite a bit farther.
He knows I've known God all my life, and the Word has been very important to me in my walk. And so when he told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, I need like a couple days. Because the Bible is so important in so many ways. So I'm going to try to fit one aspect of it in 4 minutes. So here we go. So to get a better grasp on this aspect that I'm going to point out, why the Bible is so important, I want to make a cheesy kind of a reference for you guys so you can understand it better. Who here plays Zelda? Okay. So if you don't know what Zelda is, it's about this like woodland pixie warrior guy in like Middle Earth sort of. And there's this big bad dude named Ganondorf, right?
Yeah.
And his job is to take down this guy named Ganondorf. And so the one weapon that will defeat him is this Master Sword. And it's this super like dope sword that you have to use a bunch of hearts to like pull out of this rock and stuff. It's pretty cool. But once he gets this sword, it's the only thing that can take down this ultimate bad guy, right? So the Bible is your Master Sword.
Yeah!
But it's true. The Bible is the only thing that can take down the strongholds in your life. This is what the Bible says about itself and about its role in our lives as a weapon. Hebrews 4:12. There we go. For the word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, or Master Sword in Zelda, piercing to the division of soul and spirit, of joints and marrow, and discerning the thoughts and intentions of the heart. That blows my mind. Does that blow your guys' minds? That's crazy. Like, I don't even know what the difference between a soul and a spirit is. And like, it can separate the two. Like, that's crazy to me. The Bible is this is not just a book. This is a very applicable weapon that we have. Some of you guys are probably like, why do we need a weapon? What are we fighting? So, surprise, when you signed up to be a Jesus follower, in the fine print at the bottom of the contract, it said you're also a soldier of God. Okay? So, you guys are soldiers of Christ. As a child of God, you are also a soldier in the spiritual battle that is being waged on earth for your souls. And it's pretty crazy, I think, that we have the privilege and the honor and the right to be a soldier of God. That's page turning just a second. Okay. It is the most essential part of our armor as a soldier. Now, what is our armor made up of? Ephesians 6:10 through 17 is what I'm going to reference mainly. Big Bible. I'm doing this off my memory. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yes, thank you so much. You're a gem. You're awesome. Okay. Ephesians 6:10 through 17. Thank you. Finally, be strong in the Lord in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, not part of it, the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand up against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, because shoes are good too, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take up the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. That's a pretty dope armor, huh? That's awesome. Yeah, so in this composition of armor that we have, the Bible is our main offensive weapon against what we're fighting as soldiers of God. So what exactly are we fighting? Well, we're not fighting each other. That is the important thing. We're not fighting our flesh and our blood, but Ephesians 6:12, I'll read it again. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, which are our fellow humans, but against the rulers, the authorities, the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. We are fighting Satan.
That's right.
Happy fun, right? Okay, we are fighting the Satan and the temptation that he tries to implore on our hearts. And just as real and as powerful as this weapon is that we have, so real is our Ganondorf, our
Adversary.
Thank you, enemy. Words. It's not as powerful though, which is very important to remember, but it is very real, and we are not to take it lightly. We are not to just say, oh, it's never going to touch me, it's never going to affect me, because it will. And as Christians, we are targets. So we need to make sure that we have this down, that we can wield this weapon effectively against Satan. We know that the ultimate battle has already been won by Jesus Christ, right? When he comes again, he'll take down Satan once and for all. But until then, it is our duty and our responsibility to take up the sword of the Spirit and to fight against him until that day comes. And it's kind of a scary battle, right? It's not always the easiest, but we are not defenseless, right? We have this sword of the Spirit, right? Even Jesus used it, which is pretty gnarly. When he was tempted by Satan in the desert for those 40 days, he had no food or drink, but I would go crazy, but he's Jesus, so. This was his weapon that he used. Whenever he was tempted, this is the sword that he pulled out, and Satan couldn't stand it. He couldn't take it for much longer, so he had to flee. So if Jesus himself used this weapon, aren't we as soldiers of Christ supposed to use the same weapon that he used? Amen. So how do we use this weapon? Well, in Psalm 119:11, it says, I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. That's how we use it. We read it, we memorize it, we meditate on it day and night, and so that we can be prepared for when the time comes to go into battle. And believe it or not, the testimonies that we're about to hear are all retellings of spiritual battles, where their soul was being waged war over by Satan and Christ. And it is they use this. I'm pretty confident that they use this in their, in finding Christ. And yeah, so let's be prepared, guys. This is our weapon, and let's stand up and use it as children of God.
Amen.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. All right. If 2 Corinthians 10:4-6. For the weapons of our warfare are not against flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ, being ready to punish every disobedience when your obedience is complete. Look at what is before your eyes. If anyone is confident that he is Christ, let him remind himself that just as he is Christ, so also are we.